Oh, hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I'm going over my February TBR list. So, January was up and down for me. I had a lot going on just in like my personal life, and I'm hoping February is going to be better. Fingers crossed. I mean, there's some cool stuff on the horizon. My birthday's in February, so there's that. And also, I'm also taking more time for myself in general because I've realized I am burnt the F out in life. So I have a not as ambitious TBR as usual, but like that's on purpose because I just want to have more me time. I want to get into doing more live shows, so that's exciting, and all that jazz. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But without further ado, let's get into the books that I'm actually going to be reading this February. First things first, let's talk about Blackathon. I low-key always unofficially participate every year, but this year I was just like, you know what, I'm going to officially participate. And I'm joining in, and I'm kind of excited about, finding books that fit their categories. I will put a link to the original video down below. It is invented by Jessie, and they are a really cool creator, and they do this every February and throughout the year really, so I'll put a link to their channel and the video down below so you can check it out. So one of the prompts was a book featuring a romance between two black characters. I picked Wild Rain by Beverly Jenkins. I feel like this is the perfect one, and I've been meaning to read it for so long now that it's the time. It's perfect, it fit the prompt, and I wanted to read it, so it's happening. You know how there's so many cowboy stories? This one kind of flips the script because it's Spring, who is a cowgirl. She has her own ranch. She's living her best life. She's kind of sworn off dudes. And her grandfather kicked her out at 18. I'm assuming something happened with a guy. But she's like, you know what? I'm not fucking with men anymore. In comes Garrett. He's a Washington reporter, and he's traveling west to interview Spring's brother for something. I think her brother's a scientist or something. So he's interviewing the brother, but he meets Spring, and he's just like, do you feel the sparks between us? And she's like, yeah, don't make a big deal out of it. And then, there's the shadows of the past catch up with them, and they have to fight for their romance. And I'm obsessed with it. I did read the first book of this series too, and super enjoyed it. It was really, really cool. So I am excited. Yay. I've been wanting to read this for so long, so I'm excited I'm finally doing it. Another prompt was to pick a book that celebrates the duality of vengeance and justice. I went with Goliath by Tochi Onyebuchi. And, I haven't read it yet, so I can't for sure say that this has justice and vengeance in it, but it feels like it would. But it definitely has duality in it, especially between the haves and the have-nots. And I could feel tension brewing there. Vengeance and justice is an outcome of that. So whatever, it has duality. I'm kind of stretching the rules a bit. This one's using the story of David and Goliath, but as a futuristic lens to view gentrification. That's what I get out of the blurb here. So it's in the near kind of future, and everyone with the means to do so has kind of moved off Earth into these space stations. And everyone who doesn't have the means to do that is stuck on Earth where, resources are not great. So it also goes into everybody on these space stations, literally just taking everything from Earth and taking it for themselves and making it their own, essentially. So that's where the gentrification kind of vibe gets here. And it's also, about struggling and also, defending what's yours. And we're following all these different POVs as their stories kind of intertwine and collide in this world. And I really, really like Tochi Onyebuchi as a writer. So when I saw this one, I was like, oh, I need it. And Tor Books sent me a copy, so I'm very excited to read this. I think it's going to be so good. It's sci-fi. It's going to be gritty, and it's going to make you think, and I'm excited to read this. Another prompt is a book that explores the duality between loyalty and betrayal. I went with A Scoundrel of Her Own by Stacey Reed. This one, it's gonna have scandals and betrayals and loyalties being tested. I'm very excited for this. So we're following Lady Ophelia. During the day, she is a darling of the town. By night, she is a songstress called Lady Starlight, and she kind of works at this gambling hell run by Devlin Byrne, right? One day, she finds out some of her dad's dark secrets, testing her loyalty to him, but she needs protection. So she's like, hey, Devlin, like, you gotta protect me. And like, there's like vibes between them where it's just like, oh, I like you, but I can't have you, blah, like that, my dark past. And eventually, you know, she's starting to fall from him, be very loyal to him, and she finds out, oh no, he has dark secrets of his past that are going to threaten her, and betrayal happens. So, loyalty, betrayal, drama, smutty bits. It's gonna be smutty, and I'm like super into that. Also, leading a double life. There's gonna be just secrets everywhere, and I'm very excited for this so much. And I've really enjoyed the other 2 books of this series quite a bit, so I'm very excited to read the 3rd book of the series. Another prompt was a book that's between 312 and 387 pages. That's just the prompt. It has to be somewhere in there. Coming in at 324 pages is How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days by K.M. Jackson. So, this one actually was given to me by a friend, and originally, like, I wasn't going to read it because I had read another book by K.M. Jackson before and was, like, not into it. K.M. Jackson also wrote Real Men Knit, and I actually ended up DNFing it. But I always try to give an author a second chance. Like, maybe I just didn't like that book by that author, but I'd like something different. So I have this one, and you know what? It could be really quirky and cute. We'll see when I read it. So in this one, we're following Lou. She is a young woman who's trying to get her shit together. She's an artist. She's kind of like a manic pixie dream girl extraordinaire. And she finds out Keanu Reeves is getting married in 90 days, and she's like, I cannot have this. So she's like, I gotta go on a cross-country road trip to stop the wedding, basically. Which is like a little insane, but we're gonna go with it because it's a rom-com, rules don't matter. She ropes in her best friend, True, who doesn't really know how he let her rope him into this. The main reason is that he's always had this huge crush on Lou because, you know, she's the manic pixie dream girl of his dreams, and he has to convince her that perhaps the perfect man for her is not Keanu Reeves, but standing in front of her right now. That thing. It's full of rom-com tropes and a little insanity. And you know what? Like, sometimes I want my rom-coms to be, like, zany. So I feel like this definitely has zaniness, like, built into it. I am excited for it. I want to like this author because I read on another book, wasn't into it, but I do want to give the author a second chance. So I am excited that Blackathon came along, and now I have a perfect excuse to read this book. A couple more books I'm going to try to read this month. They haven't arrived yet, so let's just go over them briefly. First, I have Highland Wolf by Lindsay Sands. Highland Wolf is one of her, you know, Highland Bride series. It's like smutty, kilt lifter, Highland adventures, so it's a Highlander romance. Someone's gonna be trying to kill her and they have to like stop the murder guy. There's gonna be villains and then like smutty bits, drama, romance. They're all the same plot essentially, but I don't care because I like it. So this book has already come out and I did not receive my copy because, you know, all in publishing right now, there's so many like printing delays and like so many books didn't get printed and mine was one of them and I am upset about it. But it is coming in the mail, so as soon as it gets here, I will start reading it. So fingers crossed it shows up soon. Also, I have House of Breath and Sky by Sarah J. Maas. This is the next book in the Crescent City series. I have been waiting for this for so long, and I know it's going to be overwritten. It's probably like 800 pages. It's so long, but like I don't care, you know? Like I always like the books. I get into them. I don't care they're overwritten. It's like if you're in for the ride, you're in for the ride, you know what I mean? But this is like continuing on the story with Bryce and Hunt. The end of the first book, like it was very, wow, a lot of shit just went down. Where is it going to go from here? I feel like Bryce and Hunt are also just trying to find some time to relax, but you know, as soon as they think they're out, they pull them back in and they have to, you know, fight for what's right. And like, there's like evil stuff happening and all this jazz. And I've been waiting to see what happens with some of these like little loose threads they left at the open at the end of the first book. And I'm like, where are you going with this? I want to know. So I'm very excited that it's finally coming out. I'm just definitely going to try to read this month. So this month for Drunk Classics, I wanted to pick like a classic romance, you know, Valentine's Day. Let's go that route. I picked Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Mind you, I have tried to say her name about 15 times at this point. Like, I'm not using any of the other takes because I slaughtered it a different way each time. Like, this is just as good as it's gonna get. You know, it's like, you know, it's romantic suspense. So there's like, you know, new wife shows up at this house, right? This big estate in Manderley. And she's like, hey, what's going on here? Like, first wife, it seems like a big presence here. Her name was Rebecca. And like she's gone. I don't know if she's dead or just gone or disappeared or something. But like there's some shady shit going on around her. And then like the house is really weird and like their servants are really loyal to Rebecca and she's new and she's like, hey, like I didn't do nothing to Rebecca. Could you just stop being a bitch? And like they can't. So it's a lot of being like driven slowly mad, I think. But you know what? I have not read Rebecca before, so I do want to read it. It's going to be for Drunk Classics. I am very excited for this. I feel like the drama and the suspense will be great because I like to gasp. Is it just me? Like when you're reading, you just want to go, oh, what? Like I love gasping at things. It's so fun. So I feel like this is a perfect Drunk Classics pick. And I don't know exactly when I'm gonna post the video. It'll probably be towards the end of the month. Right now I'm hoping it's going to be the last Saturday of the month. We'll find out. I haven't read it yet, but that's like the plan at the moment. So Drunk Classics coming out. I'm also gonna read Electric Idol by Katie Roberts. And I'm like way into this. I read the first book of this series, Neon Gods, and like surprisingly liked it. Did I love it? No, but I did enjoy it. So I was like, let's see where else this is gonna go. It's kind of like modern day retellings of Greek myths. The first one was Hades and Persephone. But now, this time, we're moving on to Psyche and Eros. And Eros is kind of like Aphrodite's hitman, you know, general stooge, and he's like out to like do her bidding, and then she's like, hey, you gotta go kill Psyche, and he's like, okay, and he gets there and he's like, damn, Psyche, that ass though, so he can't do it, and he's like, hey, I got a better idea, let's get married. And then like, you know, smutty bits ensue. I'm reading this purely for smut, like let's be real, like I'm just gonna be honest, it's for smut value and that's okay. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be smutty. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Also on deck for February is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. This was given to me by one of my friends, one of my sci-fi friends who love sci-fi. They gave me their copy and I was very excited about it. I mean, this is also like a TV show now at this point. It's a very epic space story, saga, I guess. So it's in the future. Like Earth has now colonized other places in the solar system, the moon, Mars, the asteroid belt, etc. And we're following, you know, Jim. He has this mining ship, and he's going to, you know, the belt from Saturn to like haul ice, I guess, take it back to, you know, the asteroid belt for mining purposes. Except he heads out to Saturn. Uh-oh, they find a derelict ship, and everyone's like, what's this ship doing here? And uh-oh, shit's about to hit the fan, yo. And then there's this like B plot with this detective looking for this lost girl, and her parents have all this money and stuff. And his trail of looking for this girl also leads to this derelict ship. So now this Jim and Detective Holden have to like work together because like, uh-oh, war is brewing and this ship is in the middle of it, and now they're both in the middle of it. Oh shit. You know, one of those. So it's an epic space saga, and it's thick. Like, look at this chunk. Like, this is a chunky boy, and I am excited for it. I've been meaning to read more sci-fi in general, and this one is such like a beloved series that I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out, and it's happening in February. Last up for February, I have Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. And what drew me to this book was that it has non-binary representation in a romance. And I love that. A lot of romances are very binary. Or, you know, there's MM, FF, or, you know, MF, or whatever throuple or group situation, what have you. But there's not really a lot of non-binary representation in a romance, being a romantic lead. So that definitely drew my attention. So it's Dahlia in London. Dahlia, she is kind of down on her luck. She just got divorced. And then you have London, who is a non-binary person. And both of them are on this like cooking competition show. And, you know, London is doing their own thing, trying to, you know, be proud about who they are, but also they don't want to be like, you know, the linchpin, the face of a revolution, so to speak, you know what I mean? they're just trying to live their life the best way they can, and they don't really necessarily want to be the center of attention, but it's gonna happen. They're on TV now. And that whole thing, and then they have Dahlia, and like she's trying to find herself after a divorce and everything, and like they're gonna fall in love, and like I'm into it. It's a bit of like a Grump Sunshine relationship, and I'm so excited. Like I did start reading it. I've read like 50 pages. Like what page am I on? I'm on page 40. I've only read 40 pages of this, but like so far I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so that does it for February. It's not a super ambitious list, although a few books on here are chonkers, but you know, it is what it is. And I want to have more time for myself where I, you know, just take care of myself for a minute because I am burnt out in life. Let me know in the comments down below, what kind of books are you reading this February? Are you participating in Blackathon too? If so, let me know what you're reading down in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!